Hi, what's going on, everyone? Just wanted to say a massive thank you for your responses on my post the other day. Like, you guys showed me a lot of love, and I'm really grateful. Um, and um, and also, I would just like to say as well, to be fair, I made it out like it's my story alone. Well, it's actually not. Yes, it's my story, but it's a lot of other people's story as well. When the comments started pouring in, I just remembered like a lot of people that really stood with me during that period, a really difficult time, and a community that was really unwavering. And when I say unwavering, like I felt their love so much. They came to visit me like a lot. Like the waiting room on a Saturday was probably all my people's. And then also on top of that, the prayers were intense. Like people were praying for me like crazy. For example, like, you know, some people came in and said, oh, my daughter has been really praying for you, and we've been praying for you every day before dinner or before bed. And when you hear that, man, that just kind of revs it up and you want to fight a bit harder. But I'll get to that on a later video. But for now, let's get to the story. Let's cut to the chase. So this all started in March 2018. So I'd been working at my job, where I started off as a graduate, and then I decided that I wanted to do some STEM stuff, promote STEM activities in Kenya. So that's where I'm from. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So it's pretty much like it focuses on building skills like problem solving, etc., teamwork, and just enabling students to like build that practical muscle, so then they can like put the theory into work type of thing. So that was the plan. I was gonna go out there for like a month, do my thing, and then maybe have a longer term plan to stay there and do a little bit more of that, maybe, I don't know. So that ended up not working because I got really, really sick. So when I left the UK, I had a bit of a chest infection, but I'd taken the antibiotics and all that, so it was fading off, it was tapering off, it was towards like the end of that infection. So I was coughing a little bit. You know, obviously if I was coughing like that right now, I'd get a bit of odd looks, like, yo, what's going on? Okay, sorry, bad joke. So anyway, let's get back to it. So I really digress a lot. I need to stay focused. Focus. All right. Okay. So when I went to Kenya, things just got worse, really. So I had a lot of symptoms like shortness of breath. I had an upset tummy. I was struggling to do the simplest of things like getting dressed, having a shower, going up and down the stairs. Walking up and down was a problem. I had no appetite. I lost a lot of weight. My legs were really swollen. I think you've seen from the photo, one leg was quite swollen, and in fact it had even gone down a bit. I had like swollen legs, you guys. Like it was bad. From that point, like, I was taken to a hospital in Kenya and I was given some medication, but I just seemed to be getting worse by the day. So at that point, 2 weeks in, it was like, okay, cool, I need to take the next flight back, cut my trip short. Took the next flight back and straight into hospital, into accident and emergency. I didn't even go home. I went straight into hospital. So when I got to the hospital, they started running some tests. They thought I had tuberculosis because of where I was coming from initially. And then when they had a closer look, so they took me to a cardiac ward in the hospital. And then from that point, they carried on running some tests because they didn't understand what was going on. So they said I had an infection. So they gave me antibiotics for that, but then I kept spiking up in temperature. I had a fever the entire time, so they were like, there's no point of sending you home because you're only going to come back here. So they said might as well keep you here and find out what's wrong and just sort it out once and for all. So they ran some more tests, and then they came back and they told me, oh snap, you've got an autoimmune condition. I was like, what? And that moment was so surreal, because I was like, I was shook. I was like, I'm only young. I was about to conquer the world, and you're telling me that I've got an autoimmune condition. This just destroys my 5-year plan. Like, you guys don't understand what's happened to the graph right now. Like, it's a doodle. It's not even a graph anymore. Like, what are you doing? Don't tell me that. Like, anyway, it was something like that. It wasn't that exactly, but you get my drift. No, honestly, I was really heartbroken, and that was just a massive disruption to my life, to the direction I thought my life was going to take. And I remember, maybe it was that same evening, or maybe it was the next day, just that time when, you know, in the ward, when in the evening, when everything kind of slows down, and like, you know, the lights are being shut down and the curtains are drawn, and you just kind of have a moment to yourself. And I was thinking, wow, like, God, seriously, like, this is it? I have an autoimmune condition that is uncurable. Like, this is what my life has become. And I was like, God, what about my dreams? What about my desire to get married? What about my desire to have kids? What about all these dreams that I had? What about all those things? And it was really like, it was really a moment of realizing that I didn't have control to begin with. I was so rigid on my plans. Like, if you ask me, what do you want to be in 5 years time? And I still have plans, but like, I was not open to change. I was not open to negotiation. I was not open to disruption. Like, I was on the highway, and I was going full speed for what I wanted. I was on the highway going full speed for what I thought the plan for my life was, and there was no stopping me. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I was running around. Like, I never even stopped to breathe or anything like that. I was just, you know, going for it relentlessly. And it's funny, you know, my sense of urgency has really changed. I still have, in any case, I have a bigger sense of urgency now than I did before. It's only that it's different. And maybe because I've determined what really matters, or what that sense of urgency should be directed to. But I digress a little bit. So going back to the story. So I'm in the ward. I am just like asking God, like, seriously, like, what's going on? What's going to happen to me? And I just remember getting the sense that things are going to be okay. You know, God spoke to me and said things are going to be okay. And well, I know some people who might be watching this, perhaps you don't believe in God, or maybe you're on a journey in your faith walk, or maybe you don't believe in anything whatsoever. And this is not to convince anybody that God speaks or God works or anything like that. I'm just sharing my story, and I just hope it encourages somebody. So God told me that it was going to be, things were going to be okay. And it's funny that, because actually after that things got worse, and I got heart failure. So the way that the autoimmune condition I was diagnosed with works is, as a healthy person, you have antibodies in your system that fights diseases, infections, and things of that nature. And I have antibodies as well, apart from sometimes they get confused and they attack the body instead of protecting the body. So at that point, the antibodies were attacking the body and attacking all the vital organs, mainly the heart. So I had something called inflammation to the heart. So I had a lot of accumulation of fluid around the heart, which was preventing the heart from working properly. So they drained all that, but then still my heart was really, really weak. So your ventricles would normally beat like this, pumping blood around the body. So for me, my ventricles were not strong enough, so they were just pumping in a really weak manner, so circulation of blood was not happening in the right way throughout the body. So my body started shutting down, and I was literally dying, and I was slipping away. So some doctors called out some other doctors from London, and they told them, yo, we've got, maybe not in that voice, but look, we've got a patient here and we just don't know what to do, like she's slipping away, and that's it. So at that point in time, I've got my family and my friends in the waiting room. They're like, Betty's not going anywhere. They're praying and stuff like that. Like, people prayed. It was not a joke. Like, it was not a joke. People prayed for me like there's no tomorrow. In fact, there wasn't gonna be a tomorrow. That is just the plain. I was meant for dead. I was dying. Like, when the doctor tells your family you've got less than 24 hours to live, it's a serious thing. So at that point, you know, the doctors come out from London. They come out with the life support machine. So the life support machine, the tubes that you could see on the photo, is part of that. So they took me to theatre and they put these tubes in through the arteries on my legs, just near the groin area, at the very top of my legs. You've got massive arteries there. So put the tubes in through there, and somehow close to the heart. I don't know how they did it. These guys are really clever. So basically what that machine was doing, it was doing the work that my heart couldn't do while my heart recovered. So they pumped me with medication. I had like tubes sticking out. You know, in the movies where you have like a robot, but it's been like crushed or something, and then you've got wires sticking out of it like that. That was me. Like, that was me. I had like tubes sticking out on my neck. I had tubes sticking out on my legs. I had 3 machines going do 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 do. I think actually that's where my music inspiration came from, because it was just beats. You could make like a platinum record out of that. Do 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 do. Right. Okay. So, no, on a serious note, so 3 machines surrounding me. So at that point in time, honestly, I was like a ticking time bomb, because the autoimmune condition was like just being very rampant. It was affecting my very vital organs. All my vital organs were malfunctioning. My heart, my kidneys, my liver. Maybe it was going to be the brain next, and then that would have been game over. And if it wasn't for this life support machine that got put in place, and primarily the people that were praying for me, I would not be here. But also at the same time, I chose to fight for my life. And I cannot emphasize how important that is. Normally you have people in your life that are really fighting for you, and they want the best for you. Maybe they even want better things for you than you want for yourself. So if you don't want those things for yourself, then nobody can really help you, type of thing. And I can just say that I was ready to fight. I was really fighting for my life at that point in time. And I don't remember much because I was really out of it. I was heavily sedated, so things are a bit of a blur. Some things I don't remember. I only get told by my mom and my best mate and some of my really close friends that came to see me at that point in time. But things were really bad. I was sleeping away. So during that time, I was bedbound. I was on this machine and I was bedbound. That means I couldn't leave the bed at any point. I was always on that bed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't go have a shower. I couldn't even sit up. Like, I could sit up a bit, but like I couldn't even move my legs. So over time, my muscles wasted away completely. And so from that picture that you could see, that was my first day of physio. So I started building my muscles from scratch. So just to backdate a little bit, while I was on that machine, they tried to win me off the machine. That is, they tried to take it off. So they'd take me to theatre, reduce the capacity of the machine, i.e. how much work the machine was doing, to see how my heart is coping. So they tried it twice, but it didn't work. And then the third time they took me back to the theater, and then it worked, and then so it was all good. And then at that point, so actually I started physio before they took out the machine, because if you stay for a very long time without using your muscles and they really waste away, it can be almost impossible to rebuild them back. So it was like a really critical time as well. And also the life support machine, those are artificial tubes. They don't work the same way a vein would work or an artery. There was so many complications. There could have been blockages. I could have also like lost all muscle that I can't even build it back up again whatsoever. So it was just a matter of timing, where they had to give my heart enough time to recover, at the same time not keep me on the machine for too long. So it was so funny, like I would see doctors coming in clusters of 5, groups of 5, they're all dressed in blue scrubs. So they come in and be like, Betty, how are you feeling today? I'll be like, oh, okay. Are you struggling to breathe? I'm like, yeah. Or no, actually, sometimes I would say no, while I was struggling to breathe. But anyway, do you have one of those strong friends that, like, you ask them if they're struggling and they say no, and blatantly you can see they're struggling, but they're like, nah, I'm good, like, I got this. No, but strong friends don't do that. But so during that time, it was like really crucial. So once my heart had recovered, they weaned me off of the machine, and then I started doing full-on physio, and I went crazy because I wanted to get home. I really, really wanted to go home. So I was able to build my muscles back up, and then I got discharged after 2 months and a week. I spent an entire 2 months and a week in hospital. And really, all I can say is the battle came in after I left hospital. I know from the picture it looks really difficult, and it was difficult. But the battle really started after I left the hospital, and it was really a psychological battle mainly. The physical part was easy for me because all I had to do was put in the effort, building my muscles, do physio every single day. But healing the mind takes time, and it takes a real commitment. And that's what I really wanted to cover. We're going through a period where there's a crisis globally. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that brings a lot of fear, a lot of panic amongst a lot of people. And that is exactly what I was going through at that point in time, where my life was going great. I had made all these plans, and then just like that, I don't even know where that was coming or going. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And you know, if that resonates, I bet that resonates with a lot of people at the moment, because we don't know what's going to happen next. And all I can say is that's the perfect opportunity where God steps in, and that depends on how you let go of control, and how you like surrender, and how you live your life with open hands and say, okay, all right, so what do I do in this season? How do I handle this season? So that's my story in a nutshell. So I'll be, as I promised before, I'll be covering other stories, other topics about how to fight during a period of uncertainty, during a period of crisis. And I hope you really draw from my story. And I would love to hear from you guys. If you have somebody who's either undergoing a long-term illness at the moment, maybe they've just been diagnosed, or they're struggling with their mind, or with uncertainty, or anything of that nature, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Either drop me a personal message, or even comment down below what your thoughts are. That would be great as well. And yeah, I'm all ears, and I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, see ya. Bye.